workers have no idea what OSHA is, and they're very nervous about government agents. That's under normal circumstances. Now, obviously, if they complain even to their employer about health and safety issues, much more vulnerable to the employer calling ICE, come around these guys up.
The last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is this piece that you put out on Confined Space. It was written by Stephen Knight, analyzing a recent report by I think WorkSafe is the title of the, or is the name of the organization.
Yeah, there was a study in WorkSafe publicized through that study, yes.
Yes, and so Stephen Knight wrote an article for Confined Space about this, and the premise is basically that increased immigration enforcement increases injuries and employer non-compliance with OSHA regulations. Can you talk to us about some of the findings of the study and how that connection is made?
Yeah, I mean, so we know that immigrant workers, particularly undocumented workers, first of all, they are covered by OSHA. OSHA, the law requires OSHA to protect the health and safety of every worker, whether they're documented or not documented. And OSHA doesn't even check your citizenship or your documentation status when they go into a workplace. But obviously, especially now, what we're seeing, is workers are going to be much more intimidated from exercising their rights under OSHA. I mean, immigrant workers have always been, somewhat less reluctant, to exercise those rights. Most of them are not unionized. They don't have access to education about the health and safety hazards they're facing. They have no idea what OSHA is, and they're very nervous about government agents coming onto their work site. And that's under normal circumstances. Now, obviously, they're much more vulnerable, if they complain even to their employer about health and safety issues, much more vulnerable to the employer calling ICE, to say, come around these guys up. Much less willing to talk to any kind of government official, although we don't think OSHA is actually, turning undocumented immigrants in. I mean, obviously, a lot of agencies they're using, Social Security records, all kinds of Medicaid records to find immigrants, undocumented immigrants. So obviously there's a legitimate fear there that they will, call ICE and be deported. And the less they're going to complain about it, and the more intimidated they are about contacting authorities and complaining, the more workers are going to get hurt. And that's what we also have seen. This study also shows that not only are workers filing fewer complaints, but more of them are suffering injuries and deaths, among immigrant workers, as and kind of correlated to the increase in immigration enforcement. So, what that means is that, basically work is not only more dangerous for immigrant workers, but it's more dangerous for everyone. Because even if you're not an immigrant, you go into a workplace that's unsafe and you complain to your employer or you complain to OSHA, there's nothing to keep the employer from saying, fine, get the hell out of here. I'm going to hire some immigrants who won't complain so much. So, everybody's jobs are more at risk. Everybody's jobs become more dangerous, because of this kind of uncontrolled immigration enforcement.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
And just a couple of these numbers from the study. In workplaces with many Hispanic workers following immigration enforcement, you had a 50% decrease in worker complaints and a 30% increase in worker injuries. In workplaces with few Hispanic workers, the change in worker complaints looks like something like less than 5%, 5% less complaints, and like 2 or 3% increase in injuries. And the number of safety violations also increased. Before immigration enforcement, looks like it was about 10, and after, they saw a 150% increase. And another finding is that unionized workers were largely shielded from the increase in barriers to complain about health and safety. So, that's really, another reason to join a union is that, this kind of stuff is going to have less of a effect on you. So, really fascinating stuff. Definitely recommend folks reading the study and reading the article on jordanbarab.com/confined space. Jordan, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Is there anything else that you'd want to leave our audience with before we let you go?
Well, I think we need to look at the whole picture here. When we talked about some of the attacks on OSHA, the other thing that this administration has done is basically eliminate the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Aside from some very small parts that got a lot of publicity, and NIOSH is the only agency in the federal government that does occupational safety and health research. They do an enormous amount of research, an enormous amount of education. They are responsible for protecting and surveilling coal miners who are seeing a significantly increased incidence of black lung disease because of their silica exposures. So the loss of NIOSH will have a heavy impact on workplace safety and health, not only this year but in future years, because they also provide educational grants that provide the pipeline for health and safety staff. They're also trying to get rid of the Chemical Safety Board, which does in-depth root cause investigations of chemical incidents. Investigations that neither OSHA nor EPA has the capacity to do. So what we're seeing is an all sides onslaught, attack on workplace safety in this country and community safety, quite frankly. We'll see what happens. And I mentioned also the budget. There's significant budget cuts for OSHA, significant budget cuts for MSHA, the Mine Safety Health Administration, and again, almost the complete elimination of NIOSH. So, it's dark times here for workplace safety.
Jordan Barab, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Labor at the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and happy to be here anytime.
All right. I'm sure we'll get him on the program again soon.
That was great.
Always love talking to him. And, really, folks, y'all, jordanbarab.com/confined to space. If you're not reading it, you should be. It's a great, that's one of, I don't visit very many websites regularly. Just go type in the URL and see what's on it. And I do with Confined Space. So check it out. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.